So then, who is going to Wembley to join Sheffield United in the Championship playoff final? We are going to find out tonight. Hello guys, and welcome back to yet another live stream. We are doing a preview for Sunderland versus Coventry. It's the second leg tonight. I don't usually do a preview on this channel, I must say, but it is a big game, and I'm also trying to test out how the streaming is going to work for later tonight, because I've had a few issues, and if we can make it work, great. That'd be the best thing, because tonight is such a massive game. We're going to preview it, and if you're lucky enough to be joining us live, we'll get your input as we look into how the two teams might set up and what we might expect from tonight's game. Say hello if you are joining us live. Drop a like. Subscribe if you're new, and get in the live chat. Let us know your predictions if you want to. Let us know how you'd set up, and do let us know how we are sounding and how we are looking. As I say, I'm in a slightly different location. I'm downstairs in my house. Well, same location, same area, but different part of the house, and it's just to make sure the internet speed is running quickly, and this is where we will be doing the live stream tonight, and it's such a big game. As you can see, Sunderland versus Coventry City, the second leg. I was there for the first leg, of course, and Coventry have got a mountain to climb, haven't they? So before we get into the preview, let's say hello to everyone in the live chat. How are we sounding? Just give us a quick little update. Are we sounding good? Are we looking good? Is the speed coming through quite crisp? That's what we want. And let's say hello to some people. Gavin says, hope you're well, Matt. Trevor says hi. Michael says, good morning, Matt. Loads of people in here. We've already got 100 people in here, and I don't usually do a live stream at 12 o'clock in midday, because I'm very conscious of the fact that a lot of my viewers might be at work, they might be at school, but here they are, some of them joining us now, which is great to see. Yeah, just give us a quick little sound check. How are we sounding? Very good, sounds great. That's what we want, and we want it to behave itself tonight. Are you going to be joining us tonight? Let us know in the live chat. Of course, we will be doing a stream. It's probably the biggest stream of the season we will do on the channel. So join us, unless you are at the game. If you are going to the game tonight, then good luck to you, safe travels and everything. Or if you're watching the game at home, obviously enjoy the game. But if you want to join us tonight, it's a big, big one, and you will see me going through the emotions, I'm sure. We will start talking about the game in just a second. Sounding good. Not sure about looking good, says Blades Ramble. That's outrageous. That is outrageous. It is a slightly different setup, so obviously I haven't got my stuff in the background, but let's have a little look at some more comments. I'll be here, says Jessica. Michael says, I will be joining from the States. That's what you want to see. And by the way, to Jimmy from the Blades Ramble. Guys, if you haven't already seen Jimmy's work, type in Blades Ramble on YouTube, subscribe to him. Great content, does Sheffield United content. And if you are a Sunderland or Coventry fan watching this right now, you know, you want to get some insight into how Sheffield United might set up for the final. Keep up the good work, Jimmy. Well done again to the Blades on getting to the final. And I've got to be honest, whoever gets through, Sunderland or Coventry, Sheffield United are going to be the favourites in the final. They dispatched off Bristol City 6-0 on aggregate. They made it look easy, didn't they? Let's have a look at a couple more comments. Ross joining from Adelaide. How are Sunderland from Portugal, says Mateus. I'm sure we've got a few Sunderland fans that are joining us. They're more than welcome as well. Of course, I'm a Coventry fan, but if you're a Sunderland fan, you're more than welcome to join us. And actually, we could do with your input as we get in to the preview. So be sure to drop a comment and drop a like, and let's get into this. So, Sunderland versus Coventry, 2-1. It is delicately poised. It's not like the Sheffield United-Bristol City game where it was all done in the first leg. This one could go to the wire. Of course, Coventry and Sunderland, there wasn't a lot to separate them in the table. I know Sunderland have had the better season, and I think it's 7 points clear of Coventry they finished, but it's not as big a gap as Sheffield United to Bristol City, where it was 22 points, would have been 24 without the deduction, of course. And Coventry, very good record against Sunderland. In fact, this season, drew away at their place 2-2, won at home to them 3-0. And considering the form and momentum going into that first leg, you're thinking, yeah, do you know what? With the record Coventry got against Sunderland, I thought we'd win. I think a lot of people thought we'd win, and sort of left with egg on our face. But it's not over. And we need a big performance from Coventry. It will be interesting to see how we set up, because I thought, and I think a lot of you might agree, we were out-tacticked by Reggie Lebris. They came with a plan. I think they'd have been very happy with the draw, and we've gifted them the win with the Van Evac late goal. And I think Sunderland would be very wise to double down on that similar sort of setup 4-4-2 to frustrate Coventry. But I'm interested to get your takes. Do you think Sunderland will come flying at Coventry? Because if Sunderland do score in the first 10-15 minutes, It's a massive mountain for Coventry then. It's really important, the first goal in this game tonight. Let's have a look at some of your comments. A few people flying predictions in. We will get to predictions in a second. Be sure to drop a like as well. Let's say hello to Scott, Connor, Arthur, Peter Griffin. Callum says 2-0 Cov. Love to see it, Callum. Let's get the starting 11s and the formations from last time. Let's move this over there a little bit. So Sunderland with that 4-4-2. Yes or no, are Sunderland going to set up the same guys? Yes or no? I just think it would be wise to. That plan worked perfectly. Now, maybe if the first leg had finished 1-1, Sunderland might set up a bit more attacking in the second leg because the onus is on them to go and get a goal. They don't have to score tonight. Of course, they'll want to score, but obviously if it finishes 0-0, they're through anyway. They've got something to defend. So do Sunderland set up with the 4-4-2? Ballard, 7.7 match rating. He was my man of the match for that game. He was really solid. And I think the onus is on Coventry, really, to break them down if Sunderland set up like this because, whatever we did in the first leg didn't work. And, although Coventry had, 75% of the ball, we found good chances coming at a premium. We didn't really get many great chances. I know Patterson made a couple of decent saves, but on the whole, difficult to break down. Good in the middle, and then when they broke so fast, Mayenda, Isidore took their chances well. The first goal, Ben Wilson maybe could have done a bit better, and obviously the second one's a mistake, but that's what they'll do. They'll punish you. You can't make mistakes. You've got to take chances. That's what the playoffs all about. It's just 1 and 2 off games. Coventry City. So I expect Coventry City to change somewhat. Will it be the same formation? I don't know. Share your thoughts in the comments. But will there be substitutions? Will Mason Clark come in? Will Ellis Sims come in? Don't get me wrong, when Brandon Thomas Asante started for the first leg, I was pretty happy with that because he'd given a good account of himself in the second half against Middlesbrough. But he wasted that opportunity, in my opinion. As I say, as a team, that we didn't do great, but the forwards, that's where I'm getting really frustrated at the minute. I think the forwards have got to just, I don't know, take your chances when they come. Take your chances when they come and carve out your own chances. Let's see what you guys are saying to that. Connor says if we score in the first half, we will probably win 2-0, but if we don't score first half, we won't win. Maybe, maybe not. What if it's 0-0 at half time? It's still there for Coventry to do it in the second half, of course, but I don't know. It does feel really important that Coventry go out and get an early goal because then the crowd turns, doesn't it? If Coventry can go there and score early, you can try and shut them up because let's not kid ourselves. Sunderland fans will be there in their numbers. I think they're expecting a record-breaking championship attendance, like the biggest in 8 or 9 years. There tonight, which would be incredible. So Coventry have got to go there and try and silence them. Of course, Coventry City are taking 2,500 up there, a sold-out away allocation, and I'm wishing them all a safe journey. EMC needs to start, says Callum. I think he does. And what are we saying? If EMC starts, do we put Hadji down the middle? Is that what we're saying? EMC got to come in. I just think when we've had Mason Clark, I don't know the exact statistics of this, but it feels like we won more games. When we had Mason Clark come in on that left-hand side just before Christmas, things picked up. I know he got his injury, but then he came back, and it was Mason Clark and Hadji Wright that were causing Sunderland real problems in that 3-0 win we got over them back in March, wasn't it? Any more comments, guys? 3-0 win, says Callum. Drop sheaf for Alan. Says, oh yes, I like that. From Alan, actually. Alan says drop sheaf for Alan. Yeah, I would. I think Jamie Allen's been so good when he's played, and I get we've got a competitive squad and there is rotation, and Ben Sheaf at the start of this season, Ben Sheaf would have been miles clear of Jamie Allen in the pecking order, but when Allen's come in, he's done a job, and I don't know about Ben Sheaf, and I know it's not his job to score, but Ben Sheaf had some real chances, didn't he, in that first leg where it fell to him, and I know one he carved out quite well for himself, where he shimmied around one of the defenders, but the shot wasn't great. He hasn't got much conviction in his shots, or if he does, he puts it well over the bar. Come on, City, says Matt. Struggers says, hi, Matt, mate. Good to see you, Struggers. By the way, there's 180 people in here, so let's try and get up to 180 likes. And maybe with some luck tonight, we can push towards 99,000 subscribers. So do be sure to get involved with all of that. Glenn says it's been over 50 years since Cov lost both legs of a two-legged tie. Glenn, can you remind me what that would have been? 50 years. So we're going back to 75. What would that have been? What competition would that have been in 75? I'm not as well versed. So obviously Coventry City's playoff record up until Friday night was pretty good. We'd never lost a playoff semi-final game. Of course, League Two playoffs, 1-1 against Notts County, then 4-1 away win, 3-1 win over Exeter in the final. The Championship won a couple of years ago, 0-0 against Borough, 1-0 win, 1-1 with Luton and lost on penalties. So even hadn't lost a game in a full 90 in any kind of playoffs before until Friday. Coventry have got to turn it around. I mean, one thing a lot of people are going to mention is Frank Lampard with Derby against Leeds. And while it's nice to have that and think, yeah, do you know what? It's happened before. That means it could happen again. The chances of something like that where it's 4-2 and a red card are quite unlikely. But maybe, I've seen a couple of people commenting saying, maybe it needs a red card to turn the game. You can't set up your game plan just to try and get a red card, but you've got to be street smart. That's something Coventry aren't great at, the dark arts. We've been sort of fooled by a few teams this season when it comes to that sort of stuff. Carl says Sheffield United have nothing to worry about. Well, Sheffield United can put their feet up and watch what happens tonight. And if it's a tight game, if it's a low quality game tonight, that will fill Sheffield United with more confidence. And whatever happens tonight, whether Coventry go on to win 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, Sheffield United are still strong favourites for the final, like I say. But let's see who they're up against. It'd be great for Coventry to get back to Wembley, of course. I think Cov will win tonight, says Tony. Well, let's get into predictions. Any final comments on the setup for tonight? Because has Frank Lampard got something up his sleeve? Well, he's got to try, hasn't he? Like I say, Reggie LeBrie sort of out-tacticked him. And one thing I'm seeing quite a few Coventry fans saying, it's difficult to spin positives from losing, but they're saying, well, at least we know we have to go and win. Okay, yeah, maybe if it finished 1-1, Coventry might go up there a little bit defensive, and having to go up there chasing could work for Coventry, but let's not kid ourselves. We'd have rather have drawn that game 1-1 than lost 2-1, but yeah, okay, let's try and spin some positives. And it is 2-1, okay? It's not the end of the world. Sunderland, 2-1 up against Luton in the Championship playoffs a couple of years ago, lost 3-2 on aggregate after the second leg. The difference there was they won the home leg and lost the away leg. Right, let's do some predictions. Let's just get into it. Give me your full-time predictions, and if you've got Coventry to win by 1 goal, I want you to go into detail. What happens in extra time? What happens on penalties? If you've not already seen my Championship predictions, I've got Coventry to win 2-1 on the night, but lose on penalties. And I tell you what, the reason I think that is just because we're away from home. Their fans will really put us off. Coventry, when it comes to like high-pressure games, we always lose at penalties. But I've seen Sunderland fans saying, oh, do you know what? Look at our penalty record this season. So, I don't know. Maybe it could be closer than I thought if it goes to penalties. But what is your predictions? It could be the most anticlimactic game ever. If Sunderland get 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, are we done? Are we done at that point? What if we just concede 1 in the first half? Do you think that's enough to say we're done? I don't think 2 goals down, you could write Coventry off. I mean, even 3. We've come back from 3-0 down against Man United, of course, before. But I don't know. What are we saying? What are we saying? Who has to score first? What's your predictions? I think we're all going to have to say Coventry are going to have to score first. 3-1 Coventry, says Blue Terrier. Sims, Thomas, Rodoni. Oh, Blue Terrier. It's good to see you, my man. Obviously, Huddersfield fan. Can we get some opinions on Rodoni? I know a lot of Huddersfield fans. I think you were one of them when we signed him. You were like, yeah, you've overspent for him. He has been our best player this season. I know some Coventry players have underperformed. Hadji Wright is definitely one of our better players when he's on song, but he's too inconsistent. Jack Rodoni's been consistent. That's the key to a great footballer, in my opinion, as well as quality, of course. You've got to have quality. Can't just be consistently bad. 1-0 Sunderland. Mepham header, says Ryan. Glenn says Sunderland missed 4 of the last 5 penalties. Can you imagine, like, someone might win 1-0 on penalties? Just everyone keeps missing. Callum says Cov win 2-0. Rodoni to score both. 1 in the first half and 1 in the last 5 minutes. Oh, that would blow the roof off that away end if Coventry leave it late. Who knows? We might do. Speaking of comebacks with Coventry Sunderland, we were 2 goals down at half-time at the Stadium of Light back in November. And the thing you've got to factor in is the fact Coventry didn't have a manager at the moment. Things weren't great. We had Reece Carr, fans a little bit divided. We went up there and sort of silenced them from 2-0 down. Came back, great fight back. Rodoni and Hadji Wright, wasn't it? 2-2. So we know how to score goals up there. I was there when we won 5-4. Some crazy games up there, haven't there been? Cov 3-1 with an injury time winner, says Glenn. Would be funny. 1-0 Pens, GK winner, says Ryan. Yeah. 5-3 to Coventry, says Tom. Alan says 2-0 Cov. I'm loving the confidence, guys. Do you know what? You're all making me feel a lot better because I've got to be honest, when I came home on Friday night after the game, I was so frustrated. I was saying at half-time to Sophie and Bergie and George, like, oh, if we draw this, I won't be happy. And then I suppose we equalised, so I was kind of like, all right, a draw might not be the end of the world, but I still wouldn't have been happy with it. So to go and lose, and the fact that it was such a rubbish goal to concede as well. I mean, you'd take it more if Sunderland were really pushing for that winner. But they weren't. They were sat in their shape and they sprung on us. We gave them that goal. And that's what we've got to be so careful of. Sunderland might sit back for a lot of the game today because Coventry have got to get at them. They might let Coventry have the ball again. You can't have any misplaced passes today because, you know, they could be ruthless on the counter, Sunderland, of course. 1-1, says Jacob. No, that won't be enough. Blue Terrier says he certainly proved me wrong. Surrounded by better players and attitudes at Coventry than at Huddersfield, which could be a difference. Yeah, it's a very good point. It's a very good point. Yeah, the conditions can really affect a player. I mean, you think of Callum O'Hare a few months ago. I saw Sheffield United fans really not impressed with him, and the Coventry fans were like, you know, we don't want him anymore. We got Radoni. Callum O'Hare's really impressed me when he's come on. I mean, he's only come on off the bench in both of the playoff semi-finals, and he's scored in both of them. Jeez. If Coventry get to the final, do not let him score. Blah my neck. 3-1, says Hudziko to Cov. De Silva dropped for Bidwell. Had you benched, says Nicholas. Ryan says, does Van Evac play versus Mundell? Well, Van Evac has to play. Van Evac has to play. We haven't got any alternatives. What are we saying, though, guys? Are we saying a back four, or do we change it to a back 3/5? I think you've got to stick with the back four, in my opinion. I think Mason Clark comes in. I think we said Callum said that. Do we move right into the middle? Maybe that's how I'd set up. And then I agree with Alan earlier. I bring Alan in for Sheaf. Jamie Allen, that is. Alan in the comments said bring Jamie Allen in. Shoot from distance, score some bangers, says Scott. Yeah, got to get more shots off. Although, in the first leg, how many shots did we have? We did have a few. I'm just wondering. They weren't great quality. 14 shots. And here's the interesting thing. 1 save. So, you know, if 1 goal goes in and 1 saved, what happened to the other 12 shots? Well, 1 wasn't even a shot. It was a header from Jack Radoni. But... all off target. So, okay, maybe, pull the trigger if we need to from distance, if we're struggling to break their shape down. I always think it's worth a go, of course. You know, it might, if there's so many players around the box, it might take a deflection and start swinging some, in-swinging crosses in. You know, we're so good at crosses, and I know Sunderland were pretty good at defending them in the first half, to be fair, in the first leg, to be fair, but crowd the box, get your height in there, gamble. Like I say, take a shot. It might take a deflection, cause some problems. Be first to the second ball and there you go. Look at that. We just had a subscriber come through and pounce because there might be some parries from the goalkeeper. You never know. Right, let's have a look at some more comments. Cov 2-0 says Dempsey. Mark says, let's be honest, whoever wins tonight won't beat Sheffield United. Mark says, I think Coventry have blown it, but he says play up Sky Blues. There you go. I mean, yeah. I suppose you take it in steps, don't you? I'm not really worried about a Sheffield United final right now because we're not there. If we win tonight, it'll all be celebrations, of course, because we've made it and it'll be such a good turnaround. But then you start thinking, right, now we have to plan for Wembley. And as I say, whatever happens tonight, Sheffield United have to be the favourites, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean... Sheffield United just looked like they were purring last night. That's the frustrating thing. I mean, I said in my preview to both of the first leg games and when I did my predictions that the worst thing possible for Sunderland or Coventry is to see Sheffield United rock up to Bristol City and win 2 or 3-0. They won 3-0. They've won 3-0 again. They are purring, aren't they? You know, you were hoping that they might not have any confidence and momentum coming into the playoffs and hoping they might pick up an injury or a red card. They've been very professional, haven't they? And they've dispatched the Bristol City. I think it's the biggest ever Championship playoff win in semi-final history. Jody says Sheffield will bottle it at Wembley. We'll see. Guys, we're on 97 likes. So you know what that means. 3 more likes gets us to 100, which would be amazing. And are we still sounding good? Are we still looking good? I will be doing the live stream in the front room tonight, just because it's closer to the internet. I'm wired in, so maybe that's why the quality is coming through a bit better. I'm just thinking, is it echoing? I think the sound. I think you guys have said the sound's good. So I mean, I'll check this back afterwards. Right. Any more comments? Hamer and O'Hare both scored. Yeah, Hamer, of course. Yeah, he scored the second goal yesterday as well. Oh no, it's written in the stars if Coventry get to the final. I mean, obviously, I was at Bramall Lane a couple of months ago when Hamer stuck a free kick in the top corner. That was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Any more predictions? We've got 250 people in here. Whether you're a Coventry fan, a Sunderland fan, or a neutral, we want your predictions. I get that because we've got more Coventry fans that watch the channel than anyone else, we're getting quite a lot of positivity for Coventry. We have had a couple of people saying Sunderland are going to get the job done. I'm one of them. They are the favourites, let's be real. But I like the optimism, guys. I like the loyalty to Coventry. Dempsey reckons Cov win 3-2 on aggregate. Michael says still look and sound good. Top man. Sunderland or Cov in the Prem over Sheffield any day, says Liam. Well, yeah, do you know what? You might get a lot of neutrals saying, oh, we don't want Sheffield United back in the Premier League. They've been up a few times and they're rubbish. But it's not really how it works, is it? If they're better than whoever turns up against them at Wembley, then they'll go up. And parachute payment money prevails. Here's a question, guys. I don't want to think about it this way. Let's imagine Coventry lose tonight. I know, horrible thought, isn't it? If Coventry don't get to Wembley, who would you rather goes up out of Sunderland and Sheffield United? Now, from my neutral point of view, I suppose it's a nice change if you have Sunderland instead of Sheffield United, as they've spent longer out of the top flight. But from my selfish Coventry point of view, if it is a Sunderland-Sheffield United final, we want Sheffield United to go up, surely. So there's one less parachute payment team in the Championship next season. Might make things slightly easier. Not massively, but what are you saying? If it was those two in the final. Any more comments? I mean, yeah, Jacob says Sunderland. Shape Spacer says Sunderland. Sheffield United, we need the points versus Sunderland, says Connor. I wonder, do you know what? I mean, do you know what's really puzzling me for tonight is I used to feel so confident every time we play Sunderland because the record just kept going on. And I know that records are meant to be broken eventually, but I went into that first leg with quite a lot of confidence and I thought, well, we won't lose. Maybe worst case we'll draw. And now we've actually lost Sunderland for the first time in ages. It makes me think, yeah, we might lose again. I don't know. Do Coventry turn it around? Do Coventry put it right, guys? We'll keep going for 5 more minutes. Let's get some more comments. Couldn't care less, says Phil. Well, that's fair enough, I guess. I mean, if it's not Coventry in the final and you're a Coventry fan, you might have no thoughts on it. Like I say, I'm just looking at it. It might make a subtle difference if there's one less parachute payment team in the Championship next season. Because if Sunderland go on and get up, you got Sheffield United, you got Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, who you can already almost say are going to be in the top 6 next season. Those 4 will be in the top 6 somewhere next season. And I think it's going to be tough next year. Birmingham and Wrexham coming up. And it makes me think, like, is the Championship tougher next year? Do Coventry have to try and take this opportunity? Well, yeah, you've got to try and take any opportunity when it comes. You've got to. Right, comments. It's like buses. 1 loss brings 2, says Tractor Boy James. Oh no, we could lose again. First time you lost since Roy Keane was in charge, says Ryan. There you go. I think better Sheffield United go up would be better as there only 3 parachute teams, says Steve. Yeah, exactly. Callum says they need to decrease or get rid of parachute payments. It's annoying. Yeah, it is. But then, I mean, the parachute payment teams will argue that it's keeping them going and it gets them back up, but then they still don't have enough to compete. So we've got a few teams that seem to be stuck in a cycle. Would I be surprised if Ipswich go back up next season and then come back down and go back up? You might get the one rare exception every now and then, like a Luton that sneak through, or who else? Ipswich were one of them that, you know, they didn't have parachute payments last year, but at least 2 of the 3 teams going up always tends to be parachute teams. And then they all come back down anyway. So, I don't know. You know, do the teams that get promoted need more money to be able to stay up? But then should they have more money taken off them or not much money given to them when they come back down again? It's a mess, isn't it? Money is really ruining the landscape of football. We've spoken about this a few times, haven't we? Alan says, remember, Sunderland only beat us on Friday night because we handed it to them. We'll do the business tonight. The thing is, Alan, they don't have to win tonight now, though. I know they... Honestly, like I say, I don't think they really came to win. It was always obviously an option that they could go and win, but let's be real. If it finished 1-1, who would have been happier? Sunderland. Coventry had a lot of the ball, we just couldn't break them down, and Sunderland would go back there with the advantage of having the home advantage, and yeah, they become the favourites to go through. We've gifted it to them, as you say, but they don't have to win this leg now, though. They could just draw 0-0. If they keep that defensive shape, I know it would be risky to try and play out a 0-0, but if it finishes 0-0, they're there. Coventry have to win. And the thing is, even if we win by 1 goal, it's not a guarantee that we get through, because then you've still got extra time and penalties, and they've still got the home advantage for those. Do we have to win in the 90, guys? Does anyone fancy us at penalties? I just don't. I really hate penalties. I know we beat Sheffield Wednesday on penalties in the FA Cup this season, but I hate penalties. Nige says Cov need to have a proper go to attract players this summer and have a better chance next season. Josh says he's cacking himself. Jonathan says, in my opinion, parachute payments should only be allowed to use on employed players and upgrading. Currently employed players and upgrading the facilities. Don't you guys want to see a Tyneside derby next season though? We had one in the FA Cup a couple of years ago, didn't we? So we don't need another one now. Liam says, you never know. Teams going down either struggle to come back up or go back up first try. Well, most of them go back up, don't they? Luton's just a rare exception, and that is because they put a lot of that money into the new stadium. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've massively underperformed, haven't they, Luton Town? But they're putting a lot of the money into the new stadium. Although, I mean, I read something that I wasn't aware of the other day. I saw it being shared around a few Coventry fans forums, that if you get relegated twice, the parachute payments stop. So Luton won't get a second year of parachute payments. I think I read that's true. So, yeah, I mean, they've blown our bloody promotion. They took the promotion off us and they've wasted it. They've gone back down to League One. Much rather be in Coventry's position than Luton now, of course, but they've wasted it. We should have gone up. Do you reckon we'd have stayed up if we'd had Gyökeres and Hamer in the Premier League? I don't know. Still big picture, like, didn't have a lot of quality otherwise. Those two really carried us, didn't they? Sunderland 1-0 first half. Park the bus, says Tim. David says we missed our last 4 pens. Gemma says, hi mate, how are you? How's Theo? Theo's good. Theo's at nursery today. I don't usually do a stream, like I say, at lunchtime. So if you've joined us, it's a rare one-off. As I say, I'm doing it because it's a big game. I wanted to get all of your thoughts. Make sure to join us later if you are available. We will do a live stream for the game. And I'm also doing this so I can test how the quality of the picture and sound is coming through. And it's working good because we're in the front room. We're next to the Wi-Fi. Who'd have thought it? Tractor Boys says the Tyne and Wear derby has such a big gap now. Newcastle would hammer Sunderland. Well, they did in the FA Cup, didn't they? Yeah. PSR promoted teams have less budget than established teams. Yeah. Well, I know Sunderland are a big club, and that could be a factor in them trying to stay up next season. Like I say, with Leeds, a big club, could that fan base pull them over the line? Still a massive gap though, isn't there? And like you say, Newcastle are on a different level now, aren't they? They won the bloody Carabao Cup this year. Liam says 140 likes. There you go, top man. We've got 270 people watching, which is honestly amazing because I don't usually do... Like I say, I wasn't sure about doing this stream because we've got usually people at work and at school and stuff, so thanks for joining. Callum says, it'd be great if Milan scored or had the game of his life. Yeah, exactly. I felt sorry for him, but then I was so frustrated with him. I know they happen. Mistakes happen. But what a bad time to make a mistake, eh? You're right though. It's only half time. He could put it right. The Sportscast says, give us a shout out, please, Matt. I watch all your streams. There you go. Check out the Sportcast. All North East sports. iTest says, even Leeds versus Sunderland would be a massive game in the Prem. It would, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's a proper old school top flight matchup because Leeds and Sunderland are huge clubs. Let's be real. They've had cup finals before. I think 1973, guys, Sunderland, second division. They beat Leeds in the FA Cup final. Incredible that. But yeah, it'd be a relegation 6-pointer if it's Leeds v Sunderland in the Premier League next season. Let's hope it's Leeds v Coventry. Let's hope Coventry get there. Right. Here's another question I want to ask you. I said I was going to wrap it up, but we're getting some good numbers in here. This is mainly to the Coventry fans, or to be fair, if you're a neutral, you can answer this. What chance do you give Coventry tonight? And try and use your head as well as your heart. For example, I'm 30-70. I think I've got, this sounds stupid, doesn't it? But about 30% of me reckons Cov will do it tonight. 70% of me is saying we won't. I'm sort of more towards we won't do it. What are you? Are you 50-50? Are you 90-10 that Coventry get the job done? Let me know. I'm 30-70. I think Coventry have got a chance. We've got a good chance. But still, more of me is saying we won't do it, if I'm being honest. Josh says he's 50-50. Liam's 45-55. Oh, it's close. If Frank had been in charge since the start of the season, would have been automatically promoted, says Chad. Possibly, but it's all if, buts and maybes. But yeah, we've been great since he's come in. Ninja says 60-40. Michael says 35-65. 15-85 says Ryan. He's not very confident there. 35, I'm with you. 70-30 against, says Jacob. Okay, that's quite good. Because the thing is, when I say to you, get your predictions in, and I see 90% of the chat going, Cov 2-0, Cov 3-1, I'm like, really? But I get that you're allowed to do that. It's not like the wildest result. It's not like we're saying Cov are going to win 8-0 or something. But this is a good way of actually gauging how you guys are feeling. And a lot of you are sort of 50-50. 1090 says Mark, so he's not very confident. Disgraceful that Sunderland only gave us 2,500 tickets, says Ross. That's a talking point, isn't it? Because they're expecting 45,000 at the Stadium of Light tonight, which would mean that Coventry have 5%, roughly 5% of the total crowd tonight. I mean, it's not like the FA Cup where it has to be a certain percentage, is it? And I think I'd read somewhere before the playoffs even started that there is a maximum allocation for these playoff games. And although, yeah, in that away end at Sunderland, you probably could fit in another 1,000. Who makes the decisions? Is it the EFL? Is it Sunderland? I don't know. Relegated teams receive 55, 45, 20% of the prize. Yeah, it's split up, isn't it? If they don't go back up... if they don't go back up, so it's not a lot of money after the first year. Yeah, the parachute payment money starts to trickle. But it's once it's run out, that's when it's sort of panic stations. Obviously, Coventry weren't in the Championship when Aston Villa were, but when Villa came down a few years ago, they got to the third year of their parachute payment money, and that was the season they just got up through the playoffs. And if they hadn't have got up, things could have been very different for Villa, because they'd have run out of that money and they might have had to sell players and what have you, and might not have got straight back up the season after. Right. Hi, Matt. How are you? Are you going to stream Brentford versus Fulham? I probably won't, buddy. I will do my Premier League predictions tomorrow if you're interested. Frank needs to go back to that 3-5-2 formation that served Cov well, says iTest. I think what I like about Frank, though, what we really do need for this second leg that is the difference between him and Robbins, is Robbins was stubborn, and it felt like the fans would be saying something for weeks before he finally changed it. Frank's not afraid to change things after one game. I know with the keeper situation, he took a long time to change it, but and that's another thing, by the way. I'd imagine Wilson starts tonight, but could have done better, as I say, for that first goal. We need him to have a big night tonight. No mistakes from him either. Oh, mate, the pressure is so high, isn't it? Right, let's do a few more comments because we're going to sign off in 2 minutes, guys. We've got 250 people in here. Last chance to drop a like. Reminder, we will be live streaming tonight. I think we're going to start the stream at 20 to 8. I will have a guest with me. Be sure to drop a like. If you want to see the stream later or you're not already subscribed in general, just feel free to... Oh, let's move that across. To subscribe. Look at that. We're getting closer to 99k. So hit that subscribe button. Drop a like and let's get some final comments. If you've not already done a prediction, get it down below because we are signing off in 2 minutes. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before we wrap it up? And if there is anyone watching right now that is going to the game tonight, I'd like to wish you all a safe journey. Is Sunderland moving the advertising hoarding closer? Well, I don't know, Graham. I think he's asking me. I've seen people saying it. Maybe some Sunderland fans can share some light on that, but I don't know if that's a certainty. I've just seen some people saying it. Tactics, innit? You know, move those hoardings closer. Milan can't take a long throw in then. I saw Coventry did something tactical, or someone said they did for the was it the Middlesbrough game where they said something about the ball boys were going to wear red to put the Middlesbrough players off. I can't remember if they did or if someone was making that up, but mind games, any slight advantage you can get in the playoffs in these high stake games, then go for it. The stream starts tonight with a bottle of vodka, says ALAW. So is that all Leeds, are we? Sean says, are you and Sophie going to the game? No, I'm not going. I'm going to be streaming it. Sophie is somewhere. I can't remember where Sophie is tonight. But we will go to Wembley, of course, if we get there. Right, any final predictions? I'm going to wrap it up in 30 seconds, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you've dropped a like, subscribed, all of that good stuff. Michael says, if Coventry score early, everything goes out the window. Yes. Well, if any team scores early, then the tactics really change. There's going to have to be a lot of in-game management from both managers, especially the longer the game goes on and the closer it is. If Sunderland score first, then Coventry really have to go for it because we're chasing 2 goals. If Coventry score first, then do Coventry then sit off or do we keep pushing? You'd like to think we'd keep pushing, but I don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. Like I say, my prediction on the night is 2-1 Coventry, but Sunderland win on penalties. And let's hope I'm wrong. I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. Right, final comments. 1-1 says Michael. 3-2 Cov says Chad. 1-0, 2-1. Quite a few people saying Coventry. 2-0 in extra time. 2-1 Cov. Gemma says, I hope Sunderland win tonight from a Villa fan. Oh, boo. I hope it's Cov versus Villa next season, though. Oh, there you go. Well, it can't be if you want Sunderland to win. Sam says Sunderland are going to win 2-1. Wish you luck today, says Dempsey. As a Sunderland fan, I'm telling you, we won't lose on pens. He says we won't win on pens. Well, there you go. Maybe we'll both lose on pens if that happens because we're both bloody rubbish at them. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much for your support. I will see you later tonight. I'm off for a nervous poo, I think, because I am absolutely shaking. It's such a big game. I kind of feel like the pressure's off Coventry a little bit because Sunderland are the favourites now to get to Wembley. And even if we do get to Wembley, Sheffield United are going to be very difficult to get past. But hey, never write off the Sky Blues. Let's hope we do it. I will see you all later tonight. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Peace out.